So you can solve a problem in the dream space. And, let's start with some of the dream experts. Freud. So Freud used something called association. You can take any symbol in your dream and contemplate it and start to come up with association. So, what if you dreamt about a woman in a red dress? What does the color red represent for you? Maybe the school you went to had red walls and you had a certain memory of getting bullied in the room with the red walls. Maybe what does a dress bring up for you? Maybe it makes you think of your mother, maybe your sister, maybe your first crush. And so that's how association works. And then you suddenly have a lot of meaning to work with. So Carl Jung was another dream expert, and he came up with amplification. So in his method, you would amplify the symbol even bigger and look at it on the world stage, look at it in the collective, and like in pop culture. So let's say like if you had a dream about, I don't know, having sex with someone's wife. So there's a wife. So what does a wife represent to you? Maybe you start to think of Betty Crocker or the 1950s as like a whole decade. And yeah, and maybe you start to think of mothers or the Mother Mary. Maybe you think of church. So you can see how their methods were different, but both let you make more meaning and give you something to play with for the dream. Journaling. Journaling is the first step, and that's what I'm doing now. Just keeping a dream journal right by my bed and then tracking each morning. So, and I only ask myself two questions. I actually learned the two crucial questions in this book called Dream Tending. Beautiful, beautiful book about how to work with your dreams. So the first question is who who showed up in the dream, or who's here? You write down the names of the people that show up, or maybe it's things. It doesn't have to be people, it could be things, trees, or a house even. And then the next question, what is happening? So who's showing up and what is happening? And that gives you the framework. That's really all you need right there to start to make sense of your dreams. So personally, I'm in the stage of journaling my dreams, but I'm really looking forward to the next stage, which is more advanced, and it's lucid dreaming, where you can start to control your dreams. You can actually use your willpower inside of your dreams. Something that's been super fun for me is decoding symbols in dreams lately. So recently I had a dream about a giant black snake that suffocating me, like squeezing me really hard and then letting go and then squeezing again and then releasing. So it's kind of like this pulse that was happening. And that gave me a lot to work with. I thought that it maybe had to do with shadow work, maybe the feminine, maybe mother wounding, um, any kind of codependent relationships in my life that need to be looked at. And that is actually exactly what is happening right now. So sometimes the dreams kind of forecast what's going to happen, because I had that dream almost a month ago. And now these things are coming to the surface in my waking life. And then other times, the symbols in your dreams can give you confirmation of something that you already did in your waking life, but maybe you made a decision and you're still questioning, like, oh my God, did I do the right thing? And you're scared, you're confused. Well, the dream will give you a confirmation. Like you might notice yourself having a really good dream that night with the person who you was involved in your decision. um, it'll reveal to you that yes, that was the right decision. You're absolutely on track. So yeah, and then another one that was really cool is I had a dream about lions, just me and by myself in this big field of like 20 lions. And we were all running together and I was touching the lions and petting them while we were running, and it was like they were all my friends. And that was a really beautiful dream. It felt so freeing, and I noticed what was happening in my waking life during that time was I was getting a bunch of male clients for my one-on-one work. So It's just amazing when you get the confirmation. It's like, I feel like the dream state is sort of like a spirit guide that helps you, or like a medicine man that kind of helps you through a wisdom journey. Sex dreams, okay. And if you dream that you're making out with people, that can be really interesting, because then we're getting into the what Carl Jung called the anima and the animus, which is sort of like the your connection to everything that's the opposite sex. So if you're a woman, it would be your animus, which is would be your connection to the masculine, and if you're a man, it's your anima, which would be your connection to the feminine. And is the connection wounded? Does it have more to do with your mother? Does it have to do with like more lust? Or maybe it's just super loving and nurturing and beautiful. But your dreams will essentially reveal that connection to you through symbols. So sex dreams can be really powerful for that. You can look at that type. If you're a man, look at the type of woman that you're sleeping with in the dream, and like, what does she symbolize? What are her qualities? What are her traits? What is her behavior? It could tell you something about your relationship to the women in your life, that's either being healed or needs to be looked at and healed, or it's just something that is coming to your attention to be worked with. So I want to share two books for resources for dream work. One is called um, Dream Tending, and he talks about how dreams have this healing power when we stay conscious in them, but with this tenderness. So it's like about eye contact with the figures in your dream. Hold eye contact with them, make them feel welcome, give them grace, treat them as guests. Don't probe or like try to grasp meaning from them. Like, don't expect anything from them, but just give them grace. And the more that we let these figures in, the more information they will reveal to us. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. The unconscious reveals itself to us through these characters or figures, and they can be monsters, they can transform into angels and deities, depending on our own relationship with them, our own lucidity of them, um, and a lot of that. I just love this work because it's all about your own power. And I think the most beautiful thing about it is that we learn that those figures are actually us. The aspects of the unconscious are just parts of us coming up to be loved and aired out. So, and the more we love it and air it out, the more peaceful our waking life will be. The more we have worked through our trauma. Yeah, essentially. All right. The other book is called Psychomagic. Psychomagic. It's by Alejandro Jodorowsky, and I discovered him years ago in the tarot world. But he's kind of like a filmmaker, and he's made some really great like cult films, and he just seems like to be a really magical person. So in this book, he has a whole chapter on his experience lucid dreaming and how he became a master of lucid dreaming, and he was able to turn monsters into gods in his dreams, or he was able to change like the ugliest creatures into beautiful women. There was one dream he talks about where he turned this demon into three beautiful women with half panther bodies and half female bodies, and he had sex with all of them. But I really appreciate his honesty, because he mentions how the minute he was getting too lustful, the dream collapsed and he lost it. Like, he lost control. He could no longer lucid dream. And so that is what happens in waking life. And so I appreciate that he goes into all that too. So he talks a lot about how real life, waking life, mirrors our dreams and our lucidity. And if we're not humble in our dreams, there will be an aspect of our waking life that we're not being humble. And you'll see it translate. So I want to read one little section of Jodorowsky's book here where he's talking about a lucid dream he had where he could fly. He was in a house and he suddenly was able to fly. He could control it. He could choose which room he wanted to fly in, and he was just flying all around the house. And all of a sudden, he found himself in a really dark room, and it was very like unknown and kind of creepy and weird. And he says there were these like strange little spirits that were like these spirit men, and he said they were kind of like laughing at him, and they were hiding, and he called them spirits of the house, and he said they were like gnomes. So here's what he says about that. I believe the moment has arrived to go further in the lucid dream, to run risks, but I'm still scared of dying. I do not dare. I cannot have entered into my unconscious until I find the interior God and trust in Him. I must pursue the gnomes, confront them, speak to them without confusing myself with their mockery, and establish a real contact with them, to know their secrets. I must create worlds, cross death's path, get to the center of my being, defeat the monsters and the terrors. I want to be more courageous next time and overpower my fear. Also, I have to find allies and accept them, not always do all the work alone. So I think my biggest takeaway from this is that we have so much more control in our dreams than we actually think. And I find it fascinating how the more we build our control in the dream world, the more control we have in our waking life, the more mastery. But, like Jodorowsky says, there's a humility to it as well. So, yeah, I'm curious your thoughts. What is your takeaway from this? And have you had experience with dream work, dream journaling, or lucid dreaming? And yeah, share in the comments if you want to share a dream you've had recently. Maybe we can all try to decode it. And this is something I do bring into one-on-one work. So it's one of the tools I'm bringing in is dream work. So if you would like to work with me one-on-one, I will also link that below. All right. Thank you.